Some of us love ministry, not God. We love power, not God. We love the honor and the glory that comes with ministry, not God. When you fall in love with God, nothing else matters. This is the body in the heart of God for eons. A friend of mine was carried to heaven, and the angel that was leading him, he passed through a room, and people there were a handful. And he said, who are these? That was the most powerful council in heaven. He said the angel told him there are different councils in Zion. He said there is the council of prophets. He said there is a council of priests. There is a council of nations. There is the galactic council. But he said one of the most powerful councils in heaven is the council of friends. And for eons, the people there are not a handful. He saw Enoch. He saw Abraham. Who are these? He said they are the friends of God. Every secret about heaven, that's where God opens it freely, because they have become friends. He shows them the codes of creation, the plans in the heart of God for eons to come. He reveals it to them, because this one, they are his friends. Every pursuit apart from God is a waste. Every other thing should be an addition. If you knew the burden in the heart of God, you will know that staying with him for 1 hour is more than 1 month of preaching engagement. That's where you are vetted. That's where your work is approved. That's where the texture of your heart is tested, and the quality of your ministry is defined. A king will not bother about rulership. He says, as the deer panted after thee. That's what inspires a king. A king that everybody is worshiping. The only thing that inspires him, as the deer panted after the water brooks, so my soul longeth after thee, in a dry and in a thirsty land where no water is. I was glad when they said to me, let us go to the house of God. And I told the Lord, I don't love you. I try to act it, but the truth is that I really don't. Because sometimes for 1 week I've not prayed and I don't feel it. Help me. And God told me it's a journey. It's a journey. Because the heart of man has become callous. He can no longer feel the tenderness with which it was created. Man was created to desire God as an obsession. That's why he put him in the Garden of Eden. God never built a house for man, because the house of man is the presence of God. He put him there to seek him every morning. And he said it's a journey. And I said, I want this journey. And God told me the first way to grow in love is to build a routine. The weight of a spiritual man is the weight of his consecration. In Daniel chapter 6 verse 10, it said 3 times in a day, Daniel prayed facing Jerusalem as his custom was. That is a prime minister. But even in politics, he was a prophet. A prophet that never compromised. 3 times in a day, that was Daniel's custom. Because as you put your heart under routine, over time, your heart becomes accustomed to the presence of God. Because the presence of God has the power to re-engineer your molecular structure. That's why Moses was there, and a point came when he came out, his face began to glow. Jesus, the Bible said, as he prayed, the fashion of his countenance was altered. The presence of God has the power to alter your structure. So he said, when you constantly expose your heart to the presence, your heart will begin to literally develop love for God. And he said that's why the strength of a spiritual man is the routines that governs his consecration. The routine and the consecration of a spiritual man is as rigid as a rock. Nothing changes it. I heard John Wesley prays 3 hours every day before stepping out of his room. The Methodist Church is not a function of strategy. It was the offspring of intimacy. Many generals passed through there. The likes of John G. Lake. They were a product of the Methodist Church. But it came out of 3 hours of intercourse every morning. A man is not strong until he has power to stand in the presence. Because in the realm of kings, power is not the ability to raise the dead. No one dies there. When you are sent to the throne of God, what do you call power? Nobody needs word of knowledge. Everybody knows as is known. When you come to the realms of the divine, nobody cares about the gift you have. They want to find out, how long can you tarry? He said the 24 elders, day and night, they fell from their throne. Holy is the Lord. He said the 4 beasts, day and night, forever and ever. That's power in the realm of God. The capacity to stand in God's presence. So when you want to find men who are truly strong on earth, find out what is their love quotient. And he released the sound of the heavens. I came to cast burdens. We need to repent. Routines. Time itself is a burden. In Psalm 119 verse 164, David said, 7 times in a day, I praise your name. Which king does that? Do you know how many visitors he has to receive? Do you know how many battles he had to strategize for? David alone fought 44 battles. When do you have time to worship God 7 times in a day? Because he knows the love quotient is resident upon routines. For Jesus, he said early in the morning, Mark 1:35, he went to a solitary place. There he prays. That was his life. If you don't have a routine in the place of prayer, if you say you love God, you are just talking. The affairs of life and the competitions of life will prove that you are a liar. Because 1,000 times you will choose other things before God. This is not willpower. I told you, it's not willpower. It's hunger and desire. It's built consciously. The second way to build love is to raise memorials. The Bible said in Genesis chapter 12, verse 7, Abraham raised an altar to the Lord that appeared to him. Genesis chapter 12, verse 8, when Abraham entered the promised land, he raised an altar to the Lord that appeared to him. Genesis 13, verse 18, when he came to Mamre, he raised an altar to the Lord that appeared to him. Men who are enculturated with love, everywhere they come to, the first thing they do, they raise a memorial to God. You will never see an Indian business that doesn't have the statue of Buddha, even if it's a kiosk, because they know that raising memorials to a spirit is what creates continuous fraternity with that spirit. Only Christians fail to raise memorials. And I'm not saying go and build a wooden altar. I'm just talking about the place of precedence. You went on campus. What was the first thing you did? I have a friend, Venerable Moses Omeke. When they admitted him those days on campus, they put hobby. Students will put basketball. Some will put javelin. Some will put shot put. So one day, the security ganged up and said, this man is a nuisance. What kind of medical student is this? Every night, he won't let us sleep. Shabba, 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 shabba. So they ganged up with the chief security and they called him to threaten him that they will expel him from the school. When they called him, he now asked the chief security officer, when you admitted me, on the form I filled, you wrote hobby. Did you check what I wrote there? What do you mean by that? Because every other Christian that came wrote basketball. They wrote football. They wrote swimming and javelin. When they checked to make his phone, what he wrote was prayer. So he has raised a memorial. There is no way that school can swallow him. Even the spirit, before he came, he already sentenced himself to prayer. So there is nothing you do on that school that will distract him. The reason we go into politics and politics swallow us up is because we didn't raise memorials. The reason we go into business and it swallows us up is because we didn't raise memorials. Before you come into a place, every spiritual man raises a memorial. The moment he stepped into the promised land, he raised the memorial. And he told the security officer, if you can't expel the guy who plays basketball every day shouting, you cannot expel me for praying every day. This is my own hobby. We cry, holy, 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 unto Yeshua. Shekinah is here. Today, that young man is making exploits everywhere. When you find a man who loves God, the jealousy of God is invested on him. Whatsoever he doeth, it shall prosper. You want to find out the burden of God? Is intimacy. Till the world comes to an end, for all eternity, God will still desire intimacy. That's why the angels he created before you till today, they are worshiping him forever and ever. When your age comes to an end, it will not stop. Intimacy will continue. Believers are too rusty in our generation. We do every other thing apart from prayer. Because there is no relationship.